The butterfly, transformation, memory, and meaning. You won't hear a butterfly coming. There's no warning, no sound to announce its arrival. And yet, when it appears, you notice. And somehow, it feels meaningful. Welcome to Animals' Sacred Wisdom. I'm Carol Butler, and today we're talking about one of the most recognized and most misunderstood symbols in nature, the butterfly. We tend to think of butterflies as light, delicate, beautiful, but what they represent goes much deeper than that, because a butterfly doesn't begin as something beautiful. It begins crawling. You might remember the first time you truly noticed a butterfly. Maybe it landed near you, maybe it followed you, or appeared during a moment in your life that already felt, significant. And it stayed with you, not just the image, but the feeling. Why? Why do certain movements with animals stay with us while others just pass by? I've come to believe these moments aren't random, they're reflections. To understand what they reflect, it helps to look at the sheer physicality of these creatures, aspects you might not know. First of all, they're cold-blooded in nature. Yes, that sounds funny to say butterflies are cold-blooded. They need an internal temperature of 85 degrees to fly. And the illusion of color. Most are covered in tiny scales, which reflect or bend sunlight to produce the vibrant hues we see. And there are hidden spectrums. They have specialized light sensory cells in their eyes, which can perceive colors beyond the visible spectrum to humans, and this includes ultraviolet light. And some of them are giants. The largest butterfly in the world is the Queen Alexander's birdwing, which has a wingspan up to 12 inches. And conversely, the microscale, the smallest butterfly has a wingspan of just 3/4 of an inch. Scientists call it the Western pygmy blue. Butterflies have skeletons outside their bodies called an exoskeleton. This helps protect them from drying out and from predators by giving them structural support and preventing water loss. And then here's a kicker: chemical warfare. Prior to the metamorphosis into a butterfly, some caterpillars protect themselves by ingesting toxins from plants to ward off predators. An example is the monarch caterpillar, who solely consumes milkweed and stores its toxins in its body, even as an adult. It doesn't harm the insect, but it can make predators like birds super ill. And then there's the incredible speed. The fastest butterflies in the world belong to a group called the skippers, which can move as quickly as a horse, up to 37 miles per hour. And tasting with their feet. Most butterflies have taste bud receptors on their feet. This helps them read chemical signals in the environment and determine the best spot to lay their eggs. So my question is it the caterpillar who lays eggs or the butterfly? The adult female butterfly lays the eggs. A caterpillar's job is to eat and grow. When it becomes a pupa or a chrysalis, it finally emerges as an adult butterfly to mate and lay eggs. So butterflies are born as adults. And then here's a trivia question. What is the only country in the entire world where you won't find a single member of the Lepidopterus butterfly? Antarctica. Carl Sagan once said, "Human beings are like little butterflies who flutter for a day and think it's forever." Let's talk about something truly remarkable inside the chrysalis. The caterpillar doesn't just grow wings. It essentially dissolves. It truly breaks down into a kind of cellular soup before reorganizing into something entirely different. And yet, some research suggests that butterflies may retain aspects of learned behavior from their caterpillar stage. Not memory in the way we think of it, but something carried forward, something remembered. And that raises a question. What do we carry forward even after we've changed because all of us go through transformations, some chosen, some forced. Since we don't even recognize until we're already on the other side. There was a boy in Japan whose curiosity caused him to set up an experiment to see if butterflies could remember something from their caterpillar self. He did this as a science project initially. In a controlled environment, he set up what looked like a Y, a road where a caterpillar could go right or left, and they went left first. The boy put a horrible smell at the end of the left fork, and the caterpillars thought the smell was so abhorrent they backed down and went right where no smell was present. He had a controlled environment and placed each caterpillar who reacted to the smell in different environments where they lived until they began creating the cocoon, where ultimately they would dissolve and exit as a butterfly. The butterflies were also exposed to the two paths, one with the horrible smell and the other with no smell. When they approached the same left choice where the horrible smell was, they remembered and took the other direction. Of course, this is being presented without all the fine scientific protocols the boy adhered to make his experiment sound. The end, surprising conclusion was that the butterflies had memory as a caterpillar. They remembered the awful smell and left, going towards the path where the smell didn't exist. They remembered from their caterpillar state that this smell was to be avoided. The boy wondered, would this memory be carried on to other generations of butterflies and caterpillars? And after many trials, it was confirmed. The butterflies for another generation passed on this memory avoidance of the smell by the caterpillars and the butterflies. He continued to expand his scientific explanation of not only transformative memory from the state of caterpillar and then that of the emerging butterfly to understand memory can not only be passed from a dissolved caterpillar state to that of a butterfly, but also to generational memory over time. Transformation is a sacred process. Butterflies transform completely, yet they still carry essential instinct, memory, purpose, and survival wisdom forward through every stage of change. So the strong themes that butterflies suggest: metamorphosis as a model for human growth, carrying wisdom from former versions of ourselves, and a vulnerability during transformation. And before continuing, to emphasize this point, there's a legendary cautionary tale of a man who came across a butterfly struggling to exit a cocoon. And this is told from an old story called Leadership, the Butterfly Story. He wished he could help as he watched the butterfly struggle, but decided to wait and come back. And later, when he did, the butterfly was still in the throes of extricating itself from the cocoon, and he felt sorry it had such a struggle. So he tried to pull the chrysalis back from the emerging butterfly. Because of his intervention, instead of helping the butterfly emerge, he kept the butterfly from having his wings filled with the fluid from the chrysalis. When the butterfly emerged, he was crippled, not fully formed, and couldn't fly. This man's intervention killed the butterfly. Here's something to think about. A lot of what is beautiful about the world arises from struggle. Across cultures, the butterflies always meant more than just beauty. In many traditions, it represents, of course, transformation, which requires awareness, adaptation, and survival, and renewal, and the soul, even messengers between the worlds. In Chinese symbolism, butterflies can represent joy, love, and longevity. And importantly, they're often associated with returning energy, something that continues beyond one form into another. And this brings us back to our connection with nature itself, because butterflies don't exist in isolation. They rely on environmental timing, stillness, just like we do. Studies suggest that even simple interactions with nature, like standing quietly with a tree or placing your hand against it with intention, can calm the nervous system and increase feelings of well-being. It's not magic, but it can feel like it. I know. I hug trees, and having learned they can communicate via their roots with other trees and recognize good people from bad, they emit what I would call an electromagnetic pulse that when you hug and feel calms you from the inside out. Butterflies have awareness and intuition. They protect, adapt, and have great resilience. Beauty is a survival strategy, not just decoration. The idea that change is biological, spiritual, and inevitable. Butterflies teach us that we are not meant to stay the same, that transformation requires dissolution first. We carry wisdom from previous stages, and beauty can emerge from struggle, and sensitivity is not weakness. What are you carrying forward from the person you used to be? What part of you is still inside the chrysalis? What do we carry forward after transformation? Butterflies literally carry survival intelligence, memory, sensory awareness, and adaptive memory through metamorphosis. This is not just a symbolic transformation. This is a biological transformation, carrying in continuity. Maybe it's a reminder. We're changed by life, but we are not erased by it. It reshapes us. That something within us remains. Even when everything else looks different, as you move through your day, notice what shows up. Not just butterflies, but moments, encounters, patterns, because what you notice maybe notices you. The butterfly says, you are changing. And my next episode will be about the hawk, who says, now learn to see. If this resonated with you, follow Animals' Sacred Wisdom and share it with someone who feels connected to the natural world. And until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep listening. Today, if you see a butterfly, don't just admire it. Ask yourself, what in me is changing?